Meeting to order. Apologize for having some trouble connecting. Are there any public comments? If there are none, I'll move on with the agenda to the finance. We have a treasurer's report.
Could I ask, Tim, right up front, we need to amend the agenda to include a memorandum of agreement with the principals. We reached that this morning. So if you could vote to amend the agenda.
Sure. I'll ask for a motion to amend the agenda for the principals. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Very good. Jim, why don't we do that right now?
Okay. So take the superintendent's report and do those or do the principals one. What do you want me to do?
This is the principals one now, then we can move on down.
Okay, it's similar to the agreement with teachers and support staff. The principals are going to take a wage. Leon's coming in right now. The Principals Association, which is your principals and vice principals and associate principals, have agreed to take a wage freeze. They will make the same dollar amount that they're making this year in next year. Just like when we get to the teachers and support staff, you'll see that there is a reopener that if the funding levels are as anticipated, then we will reopen for what that increase would be. Or if in the principal's case, they would reopen and they would get the increase that they had already negotiated. So the principals are in a different situation than the teachers and support staff, and I appreciate that and thank them for it. They have a signed contract. They're in a multi-year contract, so their wage increase had already been agreed to. Where your teachers and support staff, their contract expires on the 30th. So if there is good news from state and federal funding, then we would be obligated under this agreement to pay the principals what they had already negotiated for this coming school year, and so that's it. So,
do you need a motion on that, Jim, or is that just
to authorize the chair to sign the memorandum of agreement with the principals?
We'll ask for that motion.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If there is no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Very good. Jim, as long as we're on this topic, what about the central office staff, Laura and you and those sort of things? Do they fall into that same?
So that'll be the SU to decide, but I can tell you what happened at the Union Elementary Board earlier this evening. My recommendation for whatever non-union personnel that you have, and you have a few,
right.
The board should, we typically, historically, give the same percentages that you give to your union personnel. So my recommendation to the board would be that at this time, it's a 0% increase or a wage freeze, either way you want to phrase it, for your non-union personnel. And the same thing, that if you give a raise to any one of the unionized groups, then you will consider what you do with the non-unionized. So that you,
very good.
So you nothing to sign because there's no agreement with the non-union. You just typically
right.
It takes a vote. Yeah.
Right. As I remember, we have within at least the MAU, we have about 8 or so people who fall into that category, not just administrators, but other employees.
Well, all your administrators are in a bargaining unit. It's some of your like security staff and people like that.
Right. That's what I'm thinking about, and they will go along with this, or are you going to contact them, or what happens?
Well, the board typically takes action after you come to an agreement with your unions, and you historically give your non-union personnel what you give. So it's by a vote of the board. So if the board votes to freeze the salaries of non-union personnel, then we will let them know.
Okay, very good. And we can always have a short meeting if something has to be signed or whatever we have to do. Okay, well then, if there are no other questions on that particular issue, let's move down to finance. We have the treasurer's report. I see that we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll move it.
Very good. We have a second.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is the tax anticipatory note that we have to do. As most of you know, we do not have money to begin our academic school year, and we always borrow money against the November tax collection when we can start to pay off that debt. So our treasurer is responsible for going to the different banks and finding whatever bank has the best rates. I don't have that in front of me. Maybe somebody could help me.
It's a $2.8 million line of credit from People's
Right.
United Bank that Gail is looking for approval on. The line
Very-
of credit is only going to extend through the end of December, when we will pay that off in full to minimize the amount of interest expense, because this is going to be a non-arbitrage situation. So it's just going to be a 1.3% interest expense on whatever we draw down from the line of credit.
Very good. So that bank was again, which bank?
It's People's United Bank.
Do you want to phrase a motion so that it would be correct, please?
We would need the board to approve the tax anticipation note in the amount of $2.8 million. We would need a motion to also waive the reading of the resolution, and one more motion to authorize the board chair to sign on behalf of the board, so we don't need to have everybody come in and sign, as they will not allow DocuSign signatures on this document.
Okay, can we roll those all into one motion? Does anybody have an objection to that?
I
If
just,
not,
it's Leon, I thought we had already had approval for you to sign. You don't, in terms of the
Right, but-
document.
right, but this would be just for the bank. I don't think we heard anything.
Correct. The bank has asked specifically for the board, upon approval of the actual tax anticipation note, they would like a motion in, so they have it in the minutes, allowing
Okay.
the board chair just to sign on behalf.
Okay, I'll move all of that. I think we can do all three of those together.
Thank you, Leon. Is there a second to that motion that Leon approved that Renee had made? Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any discussions on that? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay, we can move on then to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion first of all?
I'll move it.
Okay, are there any questions? Oh, thank you. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for approval of the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Not seeing none, it passes. We can move on then to the superintendent's report. Jim, why don't I just let you go down each of those areas that you're discussing?
We have a memorandum of agreement. The motion is to ask you to authorize the chair of your board to sign that. It's similar to what I explained with principals. The teachers have agreed to have a 0% increase and that includes no step. So I want to thank the teacher staff agreement. Doesn't mean that it won't happen at some point during this school year. If the funding is stabilized and we receive what we think we anticipated we're going to receive, then we will be obligated to open negotiations with them. Otherwise, negotiations is suspended until the fall, when we begin negotiations for the next school year. Again, reminder, their contract expired June 30th, so it would be an extension of all the language that's in the current contract.
Very good. Jim, we should probably take these separately. So I'd
Yes.
ask for a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement with the teachers.
So moved.
Second,
Have a second?
Second.
All those any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay, we can move on. Memorandum with the support staff, Jim?
It's same agreement we reached with the support staff, and I want to thank them. Both these associations and their leadership, they met with us, and I can't thank them enough for agreeing to this. And to those of you who have been through negotiations with us, you know how sometimes difficult and trying that can be. So they really stepped up, and they're willing to wait to see what happens, with the full knowledge that they may not get a raise at all this year. So there is that same opener, just item number 7 in this memorandum. So I'd like to ask the board to vote to accept this memorandum of agreement with the support staff and authorize the chair to sign it.
I'll move it.
Do I have? Okay, do we have a second?
Second it.
Any discussion on the issue? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, it passes. Okay,
The other-
salary, well, we
So,
both.
that's
Go
the
ahead, Jim.
non-union. Yeah, so I will point out, the first group I met with was my administrators at central office, and informed them that my recommendation to the SU board is you're gonna get a 0%. We're not gonna, before I sat down with the Teachers Association or the support staff, so that I could tell the teachers and support staff that we're all in this together, we're all going, I'm asking that everyone freeze their salary, myself included. And, but that's ultimately the board's decision. So I would make the recommendation to the board that you vote that you're going to not grant a wage increase to non-union personnel.
Right, we don't have to vote on that, do we? Or do you want a motion on that, Jim? Would it be helpful?
I think the unions might like to see that we're all in on this together. So I don't think, with the same understanding that I would say that I would come back to you if we ended up opening negotiations with any of the organized unions and they received the wage, then I would come back to you and say, then we should be fair and equitable with the non-union personnel.
So
I'll move it.
Very- Excuse me, Leon?
I just said I'll move it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, third.
Any further discussion? Jim, are you gonna put that in writing for like some of the police support and that kind of thing that we have, or
Well,
how do we inform them?
This is a contract. Security team. Yeah, we will through the HR department. We will, and they're probably watching this or will hear this from this. But yeah, everyone really should be surprised by this.
Okay, so Nick or somebody in central office will keep
We'll send it
everybody
back.
informed.
Once we get the vote from all the boards, yes.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Motion passes. The Whitmaker Prize Awards, Jim?
Yeah, you have that in your packet. There was, a scholarship fund, a memorial prize fund that it was my understanding it was towards the end of this, and they dispensed the balance of the funds to 5 worthy students, and you see their names in here. And so we thank the trustees of the Whitaker Memorial Prize for thinking of the students in Mount Anthony Union High School, and to the 5 students that received that a little over $2,000 award, $2,014.68.
Thank you. My report is short. As most of you know, in the past few years.
I think you should, it does say action requested. I think you should vote to accept the prize money and then we disperse it. I'm not positive, but it can't
Okay,
do that. It's like a grant, so you motion to accept the trustees of the Whitaker Memorial Prize Fund.
I'll
okay,
move it.
so we have a second then?
Second it.
Second? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions, so it passes.
Tim,
Very
actually,
good. Jim?
Tim, hello. You can't see me maybe, but
You can see
it's
you.
David. I'm not sure Tim can. I'm not sure that I'm seeing it in the packet. I'm sorry. I tried to get my hand up before we voted.
So the letter wasn't in the packet?
Well, maybe it is. Maybe I'm missing it.
So the letter went to Steve Nixon, the principal, and it said, "Dear Principal Nixon, Peter Holden and I, in our capacity as trustees," this was from letter was from John Williams, an attorney in Bennington. Peter Holden and I, in our capacity as the trustees of the Whitaker Memorial Prize Fund, are very pleased to enclose 5 Whitaker Prize Award checks of $2,114 to the worthy students that you have recommended. They had contacted the school and the guidance department, and the principal selected 5 students by sharing with us the most helpful and precise descriptive information provided by their guidance counselors. On behalf, please extend to all of them our congratulations and best wishes in furthering their education. I'm not going to, if it is in the packet, I'm going to hold off reading the student names because I don't want to violate anybody's privacy if it hasn't been publicly announced. But if it's in the packet, then it's there. So,
Dave, does that answer your question, or would you like to further the conversation?
No, thank you. Thanks for reading that.
Okay, very good. I'd like to go over a couple things. First of all, as you know, in the last few years, the board has presented long-term employees who have retired or left service within the supervisory union with some type of recognition. We because of the situation, we didn't do anything so far. But I talked with Amy, and Amy and I both feel that we would like to continue with that policy. And what we will do, we'll get a hold of Nick, who can tell us those people that are leaving the school that qualify for that. And generally speaking, it's people who have had employment with the school system for over 20 years, and we'll arrange a small gift for them and a letter to them, which we will send to them if we have board approval to do that.
and we should
I think that's the right thing to do.
Nick, because we may have people at home wondering who Nick is. It's Nick Galt. He is our Director of Human Resources.
Any questions on that? Any objections to that?
No.
If not, okay, that's fine. The other thing I'd like, Jim, could you just explain to me those positions that are vacant, that because of, I realize we haven't let anybody go, but there are a number of positions that people have retired or left. Do any of those fall in one particular area, or do you find that we have certain areas, particularly in the high school and middle school, that need to be filled? And if so, how do you go about that if we're not hiring?
So some positions we have hired. I'll give you an example. At the Union Elementary District today, they hired a music teacher because we can't share music teachers. They are at capacity. So we're continuing to look at what open positions are. Our goal is not, I don't want to bring anybody on who, I'm more concerned about what happens in year 2 of this than what happens this year, because if there's no federal stimulus funds, and if the state's rainy day fund, whatever fund is not there, because we use it in this coming year. So I'm more concerned about bringing on people that we RIF. So we are looking at right sizing what our staff looks like, and principals really have to advocate for why a position gets filled. Some of the ones that, I met with the special ed director. I am allowing her to fill some of the special ed positions that people have left, because not all of them. We're looking at shifting some staff from other schools so that, looking at total number of students and see what we have. We may have to, we also know that we lose people over the summer, and those positions may have to be filled. So we're looking at each one individually to see, can we do it? You had a resignation from a math teacher at middle school in tonight's packet, and so Ed, I just got a letter from you that you can't get into the meeting, but that's you. You're in, right? Yeah. Okay. So it just came right now. So one of the math teachers from the high school is actually going to be so there'll be one less math teacher at the high school. One is going to move to the middle school, and that's going to balance that out to equal size of what some of your other departments are. With the high school administration, we've had on how we balance filling open positions. And if the need is there, then we're committed to filling them. If we can go without filling it, then we're gonna wait and see how this plays out.
Very good, Jim. Do you anticipate any major changes in the curriculum because of this? Maybe French or something like that?
French may very well be a course that you take through the Vermont Virtual Learning Academy. But it also may be another teacher that gets shifted that has that certification. So I don't have that full answer, but there will be French offered, is my understanding. But as we learn, just all of us are learning how we work remotely. The Vermont Virtual Learning Academy is a great tool that is economically available to us, and this may be the incentive now for us to use it more fully than we have in the past. I do know that the principal is considering some possible schedule changing, because one of the things that I keep hearing about our schedule, particularly with block scheduling, how it can impact how much staff members you need, and the levels of different courses that we offer. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to have everything covered to an adequate level. Will it look a little different? Yeah, it very well may. And I mean, we still don't know. We got guidance around 2:00 today from the Agency of Education, 29-page document, which, because I had 2 meetings coming right up, I only quickly scanned. We've been waiting for this guidance for what the opening of school is going to look like.
Good.
And of course, that will change daily, but I do think we are going to be in school and not continuing virtual learning or remote learning, but it will remain an option for those who don't feel safe to come to school. And we still have to keep our capacity for remote learning in case there's any type of resurgence of the virus. And we have, I should say, we have 3 different teams in the SU working at what opening would look like. So I know that they will now, pour through this guidance that we just received this afternoon. 2 of the teams affect your school district. So there is a study team made up of teachers, administrators, nurses, and we're going to add facilities to those too, about what the opening of school looks like in the MAU. There's a team that is studying what it would look like in the elementary. And I asked your athletic director to form a team and to advise me on what fall sports looks like. And can we have them? Can we have contact sports? How does practice work? How does transporting athletes work to games? What are the rules and regulations that are going to be on buses? So all of that has to be reviewed by all the guidance that we're receiving, everything from federal agencies, state agencies, Agency of Education, Department of Health, and then making decisions on what that's going to look like for both our students and our athletes.
Thank you, Jim. Jim, the last question I have really, do we, or Renee maybe could answer this, do we have any indication as to when the state is going to let us know the amount of support that they are going to give us?
You got state representatives right here, and my indication is we are going to get that level, but someone's got to figure out who's going to pay for it. Is that about right?
Nelson, you want to go first?
Let's say that all I can say is that I know they're working on trying to find a solution. The other thing I was just trying to do was look for a bill that I know they did for municipalities to receive back the interest they would have to pay on borrowing money for the school year, for the town and municipality to pay taxes and stuff. So I think that might apply, but I don't know to what I just can't find it. And Dave might remember it. I just don't recall the number. But I know that it's going through the process. A lot of these things are going through the process and they haven't really got in front of the governor yet. So for us to tell you this is what's going to happen to me is you don't know because it's going between the 2 bodies. But I know they're trying.
And that's why the agreement with all our employee groups gives us that breathing room until we see what happens. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that the state if I remember correctly, makes its payments over the course of the year in 3 different installments. And so we just approved the line of credit borrowing because we don't start collecting, the towns don't start collecting taxes until September, and they're not due maybe until November. So we won't have anything until then. The state will pay something in the fall, something in the winter, and then something in the spring. So I suspect there's not going to be any issue in the fall or the winter. And honestly, everything we've heard is the schools will be getting their money. Just a question of where is that going to come from, and that's a legitimate question.
Very good. So that is, and I'm sure that Renee and Jim will keep us informed. Just one thing before we bring this to a close is that I
have a
certainly would
question.
like to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Leon.
Well, before you go to the close, my question, I've been listening and looking, this for Jim, in terms of changes that everybody anticipate that's going to happen at the school and with students and so forth. The best that I can tell is that all of these things that are associated with what we're trying to do in the safety arena and so forth, all can be done under the administrative regs without having the actual change of policy to the school. And that's what I can see now. If it's something different, I did. So the Tim, we'll have to meet and look at what policy piece that needs to change. But I think right now, everything is happening, should happen under administrative regs.
Okay. Thank you, Leon. I'm sure you'll keep us informed at that. Does anybody else like to bring up anything? If not, I'd just like to express the thanks.
Dave has his
Yes.
hand up.
Dave, sorry.
Yeah, just quickly, I think we may have heard about this last month, Jim, but could you just give me a reminder anyway of what's happening with lunches starting now that school is officially over?
So there's a 2-week pause, basically while they're doing their deep cleaning of their kitchen. So the food distribution by the meals by the buses ended Friday, the last day for students. So 2-week pause, and then it'll be starting up again, and I think it's going to run for 7 weeks. We won't be distributing by buses, but it'll be similar to how our summer meal program goes in the past. It'll be actually a little bit longer than it was last summer, and the Abbey Group will continue to do that. And we did get the exemption from the federal government was extended the same, that people don't have to congregate to get their meals. They can pick it up and go, where in previous summers before the virus, there had to be a place that you could eat the meal where you picked it up. And Renee, is that, and did I miss anything on summer meal program that you want to add?
So we're starting on June 29th. As Jim said, it is going to be via grab and go only at the middle school. It's actually going to run for 6 weeks. So the last day will be August 7th. And the pickup times are going to be 7:30 in the morning till 11:30 in the morning. Students do not need to be present. Anyone can pick up meals, and they have had people from neighborhoods come and pick up multiple meals for kids in various neighborhoods. So that will still be allowed.
Which is
Very
similar,
good.
similar to what Dave experienced, Dave Fredrickson, when he rode the bus on the last day of distribution. So.
Good for Dave. All right. Is there anybody else? Dave Durfee, are you your question answered? Dave Durfee?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
thank you very much.
That will be on our
Okay.
also.
Is there anybody else that would like to bring something to our attention? If not, I'd just like to thank the administration, the teachers, and all those people that have been able to keep the learning conditions going for our students. I know it was a new challenge for them, something that we've never had to do before, but everything that I have heard, and I've got a couple of grandchildren in the school system, that it worked out very well. And the response from the teachers and from all those people connected with making those programs work, those visual programs work, did an excellent job. And we all very much appreciate it.
I'd
The
like
next
to-
thing is,
Tim, I'd like to chime
Yes.
in on that. Yeah, I want to say that as well, that it was really quite moving seeing how the administration from the SU on down just really were leaders in the community and were very positive. So much support for the students in various ways, and having a child in the system, it was really quite something watching how everything came together. And Jim, I want to thank you, from top up all the way down. It just really, I'm sure that the behind the scenes action was probably not as pretty as it looked from the consumer end, but the product you put forward was really great. And I think our community really owes a debt of gratitude to you all the way down. So thank you.
Thank you. But I'm lucky enough to have a great team assembled that really stepped up, and no one expected this. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Tony said you had 3 years to create a remote learning environment, one that you could plan for it to do it. To do it in the short period of time that we did it was truly remarkable. Credit to our staff, our teachers, administrators, and parents too, who cooperated, and in our tech department, and our nurses, our bus drivers, our cafeteria employees. It was just a great team effort. Everybody, I didn't hear no from anybody. So it was a pleasure to lead them all.
well, once again, we thank all of you very much. And if there's any way that you can pass our appreciation on to all those people, please do so. As is tradition, we will not have a meeting in July unless something comes up that we feel that we have to get your approval or inform you of. So we will have our next meeting in August. I don't have the date in front of me, but we will have a meeting, and who knows whether it will be a Zoom meeting or we'll actually be able to come into a room and take a look at each other. Is there anything else that any board member would like to bring up before we close this meeting? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all, and I hope everybody enjoys their summer, and as they say, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.